Hello my children, in this video we're going to read the new story which has the title The New Hoop. Now, it's very important for you to look at the pictures while you are reading. Why? Because pictures tell us a lot about the story. Now, what can you see? You can see a boy and a girl and a basketball hoop and a basketball, right? Let's read the essential question. How can we reuse what we already have? Read to see how Kim and Marco reuse something to solve their problem. Now, reusing is very important. Now, suppose that you have a cup of water, for example, and you are no longer using it. It got old, for example, or you got a new set of cups, drinking cups. Now, which is better? To throw the old cup and, cause lots of garbage in the world, or to use the old cup to collect your pencils in it? What do you think? Of course, using the old cup for getting our pencils in it. Fine. Another example of reusing. Suppose that you have a box in which you got a gift for your birthday. Which is better? To throw that box away, or to reuse it as a bed for your cat, which is in the garden or in the house, for example? Of course, to reuse it for the cat to sleep in, right? So this is what reusing things is all about. By reusing things, we make Earth happy. We make the environment in good shape. We begin reading the story, and you got to be very, very careful at the beginning of the story, because if you understand the details and if you understand about the characters in a good way in the beginning, it's going to be very easy for you to understand the whole story. And the beginning of the story, my children, is called Introduction or Exposition, in which you get to know the characters. Now, characters means people in the story, or animals sometimes, and you get to know the setting, which is time and place, and also you get to know the conflict. Of course, the conflict means the problem that is in the story. This is very important, my children. So, the beginning of the story is called Exposition. In it, you know the characters, and you know the setting, which is place and time, and you know the conflict, which is the problem in the story. Great. Let's read. Marco gazed at the basketball hoop and threw the ball up. Gazed means to look very carefully, to look fixedly. It whistled through the air. It made a sound. Whiz. Okay, it whistled through the air. Score! He shouted as the ball fell through with a swish. So he scored a ball. You won this time, but I'll beat you next time, Marco, said Kim as the two friends made their way home. So we are having two characters so far, Kim and Marco. And what are they doing? They are playing basketball. I wish we could play at home too, instead of only at school. It's not fair. The basketball hoop in their neighborhood park had been ruined, which means had been damaged when a tree fell and crushed it. And here, my children, we begin to know what the conflict or what the problem is, which is they don't have a basketball hoop in their neighborhood. My dad says the parks department doesn't have enough money to buy a new hoop yet, grumbled Marco in frustration. Okay, he was upset. This is what frustration is. I feel so discouraged, said Kim. I guess there's nothing we can do. Marco and Kim walked past the city's recycling center. And a recycling center has workers that separate like garbage. Fine. They set paper aside, plastic aside, glass aside, and they do not get them mixed. They separate them. They waved at the manager, Mr. Moss. This is a third character. So we have Mr. Moss. His job was to separate the plastic, paper, and metal items people brought to him. He was transferring, which means he was moving, cardboard from an overflowing bin into large empty containers. Marco stared at all the old stuff. That gives me an idea, he said. Mr. Moss, do you have anything we could reuse to make a basketball hoop? So Marco thought of a solution to their problem. Mr. Moss picked up a plastic laundry basket. We were going to recycle this basket, but I think it's reusable. Reusable means you can use it again. It looks useless, old and cracked, said Kim. Okay? So Kim didn't like the idea very much. Fine? And this is called point of view of the characters. Now, when you see these words and when you read them, you know Kim's point of view, which means her attitude or her feelings toward something. And now she is not very encouraged to use that laundry basket as a hoop, right? But Marco has an opposite opinion. He feels that it is a great idea. No, it could be useful, said Marco. We can cut off the bottom to make a fine hoop, and then an adult can help us attach it to a post. Kim frowned. Okay, her face was upset, sad, or angry. I want a new basketball hoop, she said, not someone else's hand-me-down. Why? Wondered Marco. Reusing things is a great way to practice conservation, which is keeping the resources of Earth. It stops waste. With whom do you agree? With Kim or with Marco? Now, as for me, I think Marco has a great opinion. I guess we can try, said Kim, but I still don't believe it will be as good as a new one. They took the basket to Marco's house. His older brother, Victor, and here we get to know another character. His older brother, Victor, got some leftover wood from an old building project. Together, they tinkered with the materials. They made small changes with the materials and made a post and a backboard. And I will show you the photos of the post and of the post and of the backboard. When Marco went to attach the basket to the backboard, he found his two cats napping in it. This is funny, right? Look at the cats. They are napping in the laundry basket. Okay? When Marco went to attach the basket to the backboard, he found his two cats napping in it, which means sleeping. I see someone has found a way to reuse the basket already, he laughed. He let them sleep a few minutes longer. Now, my children, suppose that I, or your teacher, Mrs. Bana, who is a great teacher. Now, I am an English teacher, and I think that Ms. Bana is one of the greatest English teachers I've ever heard of. She is amazing, and you are so lucky to have her as your teacher. Suppose that I or Ms. Bana ask you to make a summary of the story. What do you use to make the summary? Very big ideas and very big main ideas, or small details? What do you think? I am sure that you can guess the answer. Yes, of course. To make a summary, you use the main ideas, the big ideas, the most important ideas. Right, my children? Very good. Okay, my kids. Now, this is the post, the basketball post, which we have the backboard. This is the backboard attached to it. And this is the basketball that they used as a hoop. Okay? Now, let's talk about the genre of the story, which is the type, the literary type. What do you think? Is it fiction or non-fiction? Non-fiction means like a real story, for example. Okay? Now this is a realistic fiction. It is realistic fiction. Now this means that this story has events that could happen in real life. Okay? It could happen in real life, and it has illustrations, which means drawings that make us understand the details of the story better. Let's continue reading. When all the parts were ready, there was only one thing remaining to do. There was one thing that we have to do still. Marco, Kim, and Victor took everything to the park. Kim helped dig the hole, and this is the hole, see? Dig the hole for the post, but she was still unsure. She was unsure whether this is going to be a good idea or a bad one. Next, Marco helped Victor ease the backboard and basket carefully into the hole. It looks better than I thought it would, said Kim. So Kim changed her mind. She is convinced that this is a very good idea. Here's the real test, grinned Marco, and grinned means smiled. He tossed her the basketball, which means he threw her or threw the basketball to her. Tossed means threw. Kim bounced the ball, aimed, and shot a perfect basket. She was jubilant. Look at her face. She's having a smile, a big smile on her face. She was jubilant. She was happy and delighted. Wow, I was wrong, she said. She means I was wrong when I thought it was a silly idea to have this hoop. This recycled basketball hoop is really great. Now we can play whenever we want. Yes, and I can beat you whenever I want, grinned Marco. Oh, no, you can't, laughed Kim. The two friends played basketball until dinner time. Excellent. Did you love the story? I did, personally. It's a very nice story. Now, what we can learn from the story is the following. Now, we have to think carefully to solve any problems that we face in life. Another lesson that we can learn is Mother Earth is precious. We must do everything we can to keep it clean and safe. Fine. This is it for today, my children. I wish you liked this video. Thank you very much for your time.